Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. This is the last week, the last video, last assignments. So you get to move on from here. I'm going to try and make this quick and painless. This week, you should have something that looks like this. This was last week's assignment, part 1 of the calculator. Lots of buttons. We don't have any functionality to any of these buttons yet, so we're going to add that this week. And then we're going to compile it. I may have forgot to mention a little TK here is the title. I'm not sure if I mentioned this last week or not, but if you just want to do a title on there, just type this root title calculator or whatever you want your program to be named, and it changes that right there. We'll get into that icon in just a minute. Alright, so from here, let's say we want to add some functionality to this calculator. We'll start with the clear and exit buttons. Last week I showed you how to bind a function, so we're going to do that now. Make sure to add make sure you get you type it just like this. Button 1 with the carets. I always forget either the one at the beginning or the end, and it messes up, doesn't work. And we're going to call this the clear function clear. And we'll go up to the top and define that function. It's going to take an event. There we go. So when we clear it, we're going to clear the input and blank it out. So I'm calling it display here. And we're just going to set it to an empty string. And for now, that's all we do there. And the exit button, we need to bind exit function to the exit button. We'll call it close. Forgot my semicolon there. This will also look for an event. When the button is clicked, it will exit. Super simple. We run this again. Well, we can see that exit worked. Right now we cannot tell if the clear is going to work. No. Oh. Label object has no attribute set. Not sure if we talked about string variables or not. So in order to use this display, it just displays what you tell it to. We're going to assign it a variable. And that's what I did wrong. We'll call it digits. And that, we have to declare that variable before we can use it, right? Capital S, string bar. It's a string variable. And that's what we're setting, not the actual display. We're changing the variable, not the display. So the digits will be set to an empty string. The digits is a string variable, and it will be displayed in the display. So that should work. I'm not putting anything in it though, so we can't tell if it works, but I'm not getting any error messages. All right, so this was the one way we set to attach a command to a button to bind. I'm going to show you another way, and that is by using the command prompt or attribute within the button itself. And to do this, we're going to use the lambda function.
Lambda, lambda, lambda.
Yeah, you're gonna love us.
I haven't talked about this, but I do believe I saw it in the text. You may be familiar with it. Some of you have actually used it in previous projects. But the lambda is just it's kind of a catch-all function. You can throw anything in it, and it will use it. So lambda. And we're going to actually pass a function to this function. We're going to say use the lambda function, and then we're going to do dig. We're going to create a function called insert digit. And we're going to pass it a digit variable. And then, so when we call that function, we're going to put a digit in here. And since this is button 1, it'll be the number 1. And in order to do this correctly, we need to have a global variable. We'll call that expression. This will be the final expression that is created when you're pushing buttons. But right now it's just going to be an empty variable, string variable. We need to pass that to each one of these functions as a global variable. So that each one of these can access and change and modify that variable because it's global. So we'll pass that to this one. If we don't declare it within that function, it won't understand what you're trying to do. Alright, so a quick explanation. When this button is pressed, it will pass the 1 to this function here as a digit. The expression will then go from being blank to whatever the expression is, and of course the first number it will be blank, plus string of the digit that it was passed. So in this case it's empty, we pass it a 1, it will become 1. Then it will set the string variable digits in the display to 1. Let's see if that works. Let's see. And then every time you hit it, it will add another 1 in there because it will set the expression to what the expression is plus whichever digit you put in there. And then if our clear works correctly, it'll clear it out and set the digits variable, string variable, back to an empty string. So some of you may have used this and not quite understood what it was doing, but there it is. Hopefully that was a simple enough explanation. And then all we have to simply do is this for every button on our little calculator. Okay, well, let's start at the top. Just 2, 3, 4. And then we get into the addition and subtraction buttons. We want it to be a string, so make sure you put it in quotations. I'm just going to add this, and I always put spaces just because I like it to look neat. Subtraction. This is multiplication. Division. And we also have an equals button, right? We're not going to do that with the equals button though, are we? We need to actually have it call another function. So instead of doing the command, we will bind button 1 to our, we're going to call it equals, I guess. And we'll have to define another function for equals. And that will accept an event, like when it's when the button's pressed. We need to pass it that expression. And then create a variable total. We're going to evaluate the expression. Eval's a little built-in function that will evaluate a string expression. Or it'll evaluate expression. We still need to turn it into a string, don't we? Turn it into a string so that then we can display it in the digits. String variable. Should be total. That makes more sense. I think that's it to have a working calculator. 1, 2, 3 plus 1, 2, 3 equals 246. Now, obviously, you can go well above and beyond what we've done here. You can add parentheses. I'm pretty sure that evaluate will still evaluate. It will evaluate it correctly when you start using parentheses. And there are a few minor issues with this, like if you continue, it'll bounce back, which I guess is a good thing. You maybe want that functionality. Maybe it's a feature, not a bug. But maybe after you do this, you want to start a new expression, and you want it to be 654, and you don't want it to start there. But right now, you got to clear it. It looks like you still have to exit and then restart it to get another. All right, well, let's do when you clear it, you gotta reset that expression. Maybe that'll work. That will not work. I suppose you can't declare it outside. Again, we're talking about scope. Anyway, this is all I wanted you to accomplish. We're trying to figure out how to use Tkinter here. So yeah, this will have some errors, but you get the idea on how to build a GUI. You have a mostly working calculator here. You guys are smart enough to figure out how to set this. I want to get into a few more things, and I don't want to burden you with too much on your last week. So, you decide you want to fix this. Awesome. We can turn that into, and then that would be great. But right now, I want to get to some other stuff. Now you have this, let's say you make a calculator. It works great, but you don't want to have to open PyCharm every time you want to use that calculator, or use the command line every time you want to use that calculator. So I'm going to show you how to compile a program so that you can just use it like any other executable that you do use. And for that, we're going to use something called PyInstaller. You can go to your project interpreter and go to File, Settings, Project Interpreter, just like, and this is how you install libraries. I'm not sure if we went over this or not, but if you didn't have Tkinter on here, you'd go in here and hit this little plus and add Tkinter in. You just search for Tkinter. It's already installed, so this is kind of a bad example, probably not in here, but there's a couple other things. And this is how you install packages to your Python and PyCharm. We want to find PyInstaller. I already have mine installed. If you don't, and you probably won't, just click Install Package down here, and it will install that for you. Additionally, what you can do is open a command line and navigate to where your Python is, your Python installation. I keep mine on a separate drive, and I forget. Directory Python 3.9. So once you're in here, you can use pip, which is Python's version of like a Linux get command or whatever. It will reach out and find packages for you. So if you don't have PyInstaller, you would type pip install PyInstaller and just hit the button. If you don't have it, I already have it, so it's telling me it's already satisfied. We've got it in there. However, I probably do need to upgrade. And for that, I can do pip install upgrade PyInstaller. And it's reaching out, going to get all the new stuff for my update, just like it should do for your initial install. I'm not sure if it actually did what it was supposed to do or not, but it looks like we're good. So now what you need to do is save your what's the save all. So the TK calculator part 1, you want to take that wherever that that file is. Let's see. Just copy it and then go back to that directory where your Python is. You need to move this file so that you can compile it correctly. Programming Python. Just paste it in here. So this is where all the PyInstaller stuff is, so it needs this file close by. And then what we're going to do is go back to your command line and type PyInstaller. And each time I do this, it's a little bit different. I either forget stuff or it changes, but for right now, the way it should work is no UPX. You want one file, so it's just a single executable file. And you want it windowed. And then you add the file name, which was, I can't remember. Part 1, PY. And hit enter. And it will start building your executable file. When it finishes, go back here to this, and it will be in, so there'll be two folders. You'll see the build and dist, or for distribution. Your build file will have all the stuff that it generated while it was compiling that program. And your distribution this is where the executable will be, right here. There you go. You have a PyInstaller. Now, if you forget some of those commands, like the one file windowed, when you run it, you'll see a big command prompt window that comes up and just annoys you. You can't really use it or do anything with it. It's there. So that's what those commands do. Not going to get into that. It's kind of out of the scope. But this is a good way to make a portable application that you can take with you and do whatever you want if you create something cool. Lastly, I did say I was going to talk about this icon, this little feathers, Tkinter's little icon. And these are all, you see these little worm with the disk. That's Python. It just tells you it's a Python program. It's that default icon that's used. If you want to change that, you can. Let's see. How do we do this? Let me open up one of my other programs because I forgot. Let's do this one. And there's a short, like 2 lines right here. Here's your icon, 2 lines. So yeah, in the root. I'm not sure exactly if placement matters or not, but it's in the root on the other file. So just do here. This is an icon file that I created. It has to be a true icon file. You can't just take any picture and shrink it down. It has to be an icon file. And again, that's outside of the scope of this class, but you can Google and figure out how to convert stuff into icon files. Let's see if I have that somewhere. Hope so. Yeah, okay, so this is the icon file that I used in some of my other programs. So you need to take this icon file and then put it right next to, or in the same directory as the script that you're going to compile. So back, like in mine, it's going to be Python 3.9 because that's where I installed Python 2. We're just going to drop this in here. I didn't change this one. I changed the other one. So you got to remember, like I copied and moved this. This one is located in a different folder. So these lines that I just changed are in a different file, although they have the same file names. So I need to move it again. Save all. Let's do this. Or part 1 and replace. So now go back to the command line. It looks like I closed it. Go to D. And then do the PyInstaller again. Run that same command. No UPX. I really hope this works because I haven't tested it. I still have the previously compiled one in there. I don't know if that's going to create a conflict or not. Let's see. Okay, so here's the catch. this is an executable, but it does not take that icon file and push it into this executable. It can't find it from there. So you're going to end up getting an error when you try and run it, I think, anyway. I think this is the issue. Who knows? So if we go to, where is it? We're going to have this icon next to that calculator, and then it will run, and you will see the icon changes. And Windows will eventually change this icon here too. I'm not sure if you need to restart or just close the window or what, but eventually this will change too. So you'll just have this icon for your program, and that's how you can create your own custom icons for your stuff. So if you see the catch, you now need to have this icon file in the same directory as the executable. In order to do that better, there are a couple of different programs. Let's see. So here's the website for PyInstaller. I'm not sure you need that if you just install it with pip install PyInstaller. There you go. But I'll put this up anyway. And this program here is called InnoSetup. And this allows you to create, it allows you to install programs, or it creates a setup file basically. So anytime that you're trying to install a program, right, you have to run the MSI or the setup program, and it will install files on your computer. This allows you to create a setup file so that when someone, you can take your file, put it on another computer, and install it like a normal program instead of using instead of it being a portable program. And then you can hand out your program so others can install it. And I like this. I think it's pretty neat. We'll try to run through some of the features of that software real quick. There it is. So you just want to create a new thing here. You can see I've done one before with this. And here, just use Script Wizard. That's awesome. This is a free program, by the way, so you can just download it, and I'll put that link up. Use the wizard. Dooba-dooba-doo. Application name, your version, company, website. You can put all that stuff in here. And here you choose where you want to install it on the other person's computer, where you want this to be installed. And that way all the files get into the right place. So like I've got the PyCharm shortcut on here. This is just a shortcut to an executable someplace, likely in the programs folder. So when you click on that shortcut, it actually goes to that exe and opens it. So all the icons work, and whatever other dependencies are, they're all there. This will allow you to do all kinds of other things too. You see the file path for the main executable will be there, and that's probably where you're going to put all the rest of your stuff. That's where you would put your icon, and here you would add files. So here you would want to add the icon file. You can add that, and then you could add folders and all kinds of other stuff. I'm not sure. Let's see. Application file type. It's probably going to be executable exe. I'm looking for a part. There's, I believe, something in here where you can put licenses and yeah, okay. So license files, information file shown before installation. Something that you need to think about when you start producing software to be sent out. You know, where there's going to be open source, where you can let anybody use it for any reason, where there's certain conditions, all that lawyer stuff. I have a few templates somewhere that I used to put on all of my programs. Somewhere. No, that's for Python. Let's see. I know I've done all this stuff. Anyway, if I can find those, I'll put those up. Okay, here you go. Here's an EULA, end user license agreement. This is just boilerplate stuff that I threw on when somebody installed this program. This text file would pop up and said, you know, your end user license agreement. Everybody's got one, nobody reads it, but it's there to protect you and your business from software stuff, and also copyright. Just provide it as is without any express or implied warranty. If we mess up your stuff, it's not our fault. Kind of all that. You got to start thinking about protecting yourself. So this is where you would put those, and this will show it before the installation or after the installation, however you tell it to do. Just browse to it and add it to the installer. You can tell it whether to install it as administrator for all users, non-administrator, however you want it to be done. This is a really good little program. Custom setup. So this is to be another different icon just for the setup file. A password, if you want a password, protect it. And then you keep going until you get to finish, and then it will run through and create an installer file for you. It's really cool. So that is that, and that is how you create an executable file, and then is how you distribute an executable file. For this week, just go ahead and finish up that calculator, make an executable. If you want to add an icon and use that Inno installer and submit that, that's great. Submit a zip file that includes the executable. Or if you don't feel like messing with the icon and the Inno setup, just compile it and submit that. You probably have to create a zip file to stick the exe in and submit through Moodle. Beyond that, finish up the final test in Networking Academy, and that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the class. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, give me a call. And if you create anything cool, please let me know. I think that's great. I'd love to see you guys go on to do something cool.